Hey YouTube, Ed here with Jack of All Trades, and welcome back to another video. So we are going to do a revisit of the Taurus TX22 pistol. I did a review on this just short of a year ago. It was bone stock. There was no changes made to it. It was completely as it was when I got it out of the factory. And now we are going to discuss if I still like it as much as I did when I first initially got it, and discuss any changes I've made to it for better or for worse. So with that, let's go ahead and let's talk about a revisit on the Taurus TX22 pistol. And welcome back. So yes, we are going to revisit the Taurus TX22 pistol, but before we get into that, please, I would ask you to make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below. Make sure you ring that notification bell to get notified of upcoming videos, and make sure you hit me with some comments. I try to answer as many comments as I possibly can, and it helps the channel out with the YouTube algorithms to get the search results out there. I never ask you for money. I don't have a Patreon account, and that is the only support I ever ask of my YouTube channel. With that, let's start talking about the Taurus TX22. All right, so let's get the elephant out of the room and let's talk about the immediately obvious right off the bat. I did put a reflex sight on this firearm. I did this for no other reason, just because I wanted to. I wanted to see what it was all about. I've never actually had a reflex sight on a handgun before, and I just wanted to see what it's all about. So I picked up the ADE, and this is the RD3-009 Reflex Sight, and I picked it up because it was relatively inexpensive to purchase on Amazon. It got very, very good reviews, so I thought, what the heck, I'll give it a try. I also saw another YouTuber had this same sight on one of his TX22s, and he seemed to like it well enough. It wasn't his favorite, it didn't sound like, but it worked well enough for him. And quite frankly, this isn't a carry pistol. It's not for defense or anything like that. I use this for plinking around my cabin, maybe dispatching the occasional skunk or woodchuck that happens to wander into the yard, and things of that effect. And I just wanted to see what this sight was all about. And I got to say, I'm fairly impressed with the ADE optic. It does exactly what I expected it to do. Now let's just talk some real quick specifics on it. It's shockproof and fogproof. It's waterproof, and they guarantee waterproof for 30 minutes in about 2 feet of water. Lenses are all precision ground. It's fully windage and elevation adjustable, and those windage and elevation settings are completely lockable. In fact, you have 2 screws on the back side here, whereas if you don't unlock them, you can't make changes to the windage and elevation. So if you buy this sight, make sure you read the directions. Watch a few videos and understand how to adjust this. I'm not going to recreate the wheel. There's plenty of good videos out there already that tell you how to set the windage and elevation on this. And it's got 5 illumination settings with the red dot. The button on the side here is the power button, and it is also the aiming dot illumination power setting or illumination brightness setting button. So it's all very, very simple. It's all very, very compact. The sight itself is extremely lightweight. It doesn't have hardly any weight to it whatsoever. It's a 1 power magnification, so it provides you with no magnification capability, which quite honestly is something that you would want on a handgun reflex sight. So let's talk just real quick about what you get in the box. So that's the old sight off the Taurus TX22. You do have to remove the sight off the Taurus, and I'll tell you about how I do that in just a little bit. So in the box, you get my particular box. I actually got a mount for a Smith & Wesson, which replaces the rear dovetail sight, which I didn't need because I obviously put this on my TX22. But neat, with this sight you also get a rail adapter, which allows you to mount it to anything that's got a rail, like say for instance an AR-15 or a tactical shotgun, or basically any firearm that's got a top rail on it. So they do give you a Picatinny rail adapter, which is kind of nice. That means you can put this sight on pretty much anything. They also give you a windage adjustment guide, which goes along with your screwdriver. And if you watch a video on how to adjust the sights on this, it's kind of a neat concept. You just push this guide onto your screwdriver here, and it kind of gives you a rudimentary adjustment guide, if you will, on how to make the adjustments. Now, truth be told, when I made the adjustments on this, I didn't use this, and I didn't feel the need to. I zeroed it in at 30 feet, which seemed like a fine zero, and then I pushed it out to about 25 yards, and it worked just fine. I didn't really need this, but it is available for you, and it's kind of fun that they give it to you as kind of a guide. More than anything, the arrows telling you which direction you need to travel the screwdriver to make the bullet impact in the correct location would be more useful for me. The graduations, as far as, for lack of a better term, clicks, if you will, aren't really necessary, but it is nice to have the directions. Now, for me, all I did was I remembered on the elevation that if I wanted the bullet to move up, I turned it clockwise. If I wanted the bullet to move to the right, I turned it clockwise. And obviously the opposite would be the same. So as long as you can remember up and right is always clockwise, you shouldn't really have a problem or a need for that. But nice that they do give you this little screwdriver, because I'm here to tell you these screws that they have on here for the windage and the elevation are very, very small, and the likelihood that somebody's going to have a small screwdriver like this in their tool collection, it might not be so great. So it's kind of nice that they give you that as well. So they give you basically everything you need to mount the sight onto the TX22, with the exception of the base plate. I have not been able to find an ADE product that mounts directly to the Taurus TX22, which is why I went to a company called Galloway Precision. Galloway Precision actually makes the mount for the Taurus TX22, and you can see it's the red mount right here, the red piece of aluminum, and that actually replaces your rear sight. So if you do want to put a reflex optic on this firearm, you are going to lose the use of the rear sight. Now, the firearm was very accurate using the sights. I didn't need this for accuracy. I wanted this for more or less just for playing around, just to see how I liked having a red dot sight or a reflex sight on it. And oddly enough, it is fairly accurate. It won't be a problem dispatching a skunk or a woodchuck within the confines of the yard of my cabin with this, using this reflex sight. So the accuracy on it is actually pretty doggone good. It's far better than I thought it was going to be. And then in my hands, and I am admittedly a not great pistol shot, it really worked out well, and I was very happy with the accuracy and functionality of it. It's extremely simple to use. The sight does not have a shake awake option. You have to turn it on and you have to turn it off, and considering that this is not a carry pistol, the shake awake isn't really necessary, and it's just going to add cost to the piece at the end of the day. So you do have to turn it on, you do have to turn it off, and to do that you just push the power button on the side here. You have to push and hold for about 3 seconds and it turns the sight on, and then you have to push and hold for about 3 seconds to turn the sight off. Now that same button is also your dimmer adjustments, or your intensity adjustments for the dot in the middle. Alright, so you can see here the sight is off, and if I go ahead and just push the side button and hold it for 3 seconds, there the sight comes on. Now every time I push the button, you can see the illumination gets really, really bright, and then it goes really dim. You almost can't see it, it's so dim. So if you initially turn this sight on and you think it's not turned on, just do a quick button push here to see if your brightness setting happens to be all the way down, because it could very well be, and I know that because I did that exact same thing. And so it's got 6 brightness settings, and then when you hit the last one and you push it again, it goes right back down to the dimmest, and then you can turn it back up again. So some other information about the sight. It's got a 25mm by 16mm sight window. It's got recoil resistance of up to 1,000 Gs. They say 45 ACP. This thing can handle it, and it's supposed to be able to handle your AR-15s and most of your shotguns if you decide to put it on those as well. Of course, it's parallax free because it's a reflex sight. This runs on one CR2032 lithium battery. It's got 2,000 hours of battery life, and this sight actually has a 4-hour shutoff, like I had mentioned earlier. Now, there is some cases, depending on what firearm you put this on, you can only make it go up so far. You can actually get a shim from ADE Precision Optics, and that shim is a 1-degree shim, and it basically cants the sight 1 degree forward, and that gives you more elevation adjustment if you run into a problem where you run out of up adjustment. I should also mention too that if you do need that 1-degree shim, that if you contact ADE Precision Optics, they will send you that shim for free. So all you have to do is contact them and they will send it out to you. One other thing, that when you are mounting this sight, you're going to get a rubber gasket with this sight. Make sure that you use that rubber gasket. That rubber gasket is to act as a bit of a cushion between the sight and the firearm so that it does a better job of handling the recoil and you don't have as much problem with zero shift or anything like that, and the piece losing at zero, because that rubber gasket is designed to help absorb some of the shock to make sure that this sight doesn't drift and it stays in zero for you. Now, there are some disadvantages to this, and this isn't the sight's fault. This is just the way it is. If you do decide you're going to put a reflex sight on the Taurus TX22, you just lose your rear sight. And there's no co-witnessing sight on the back of the sight here, which you can use with a front sight to use it should the battery go dead. So you are basically stuck with the red dot reflex sight. Now, the other downside of this particular sight is you have to remove it from the firearm to change the battery, because the battery door is located on the bottom of the sight. So obviously you have to remove it to swap that out. Kind of a pain in the butt, but with a 2,000-hour battery life, it is what it is, really. And you just need to make sure that you have an Allen wrench to remove these two top screws here, so you can remove the sight from the base, and then you can actually change the battery. All right, let's talk about this mounting plate real quick. Now, like I said, I got this mounting plate from Galloway. They typically come in two colors, red and black, and they are specific to the Taurus TX22. If you go to the Galloway Precision website, you will see exactly where to find these things. They're under the Taurus performance parts. This sight is actually designed for a few of their Taurus pistols, but it is a direct fit for the TX22. So if you do want to put a reflex sight on this, I would highly recommend this base. This is a great base. It's made out of aluminum. Galloway did a fantastic job of machining this. It was very tight tolerance. It fit in here very well. They give you everything you need to mount this base to the sight, including the screws that you need to mount the sight to the base. So everything comes with it, and they did a fantastic job of machining it. I got a red one for two reasons. One, I figured it would show up better on camera, and I'd be able to show it to you, but two, black is currently unavailable right now. So while we're talking about Galloway Precision, I also purchased one other thing from Galloway Precision when I purchased this base, and what I purchased was a stainless steel guide rod with a return spring. Now, that is the factory Taurus return spring. The stainless steel one with the spring, with the new guide spring, is already installed in the handgun. And I'm not going to show you how to change it out because two reasons. One, it's not hard to do. If you own a TX22, or even if you don't own one, and you are going to find out if you own one, this thing comes apart very, very easy. That spring and guide rod is right there on the top, and it's super easy to get to. But the other reason I'm not going to show it to you is because if I take this gun apart and I show you where that is, YouTube will demonetize this video, and I won't make any advertising on it. So I'm not going to show you how to disassemble it. They consider that gunsmithing and gun modification. It's not actually a gun modification. You're just replacing a part. Now, the other thing I did was when I bought the guide rod, I bought the one with the 10% lighter spring tension on it than what the factory spring is. The factory spring is 10% heavier than the one that I put in here. And the reason I did that was I did that in hopes that the firearm would then cycle subsonic ammunition without any issue. had no problem cycling subsonic ammunition that was made for semi-autos, but it would not cycle subsonic ammunition that was made for rifles. Now it will. So this is CCI. Subsonic ammunition is not designed for semi-autos. It is designed for bolt-action guns, single-shot guns, and revolvers, and this gun now cycles it without any issue whatsoever. It still will not cycle CCI quiets. There's just not enough oomph there to cycle the shell out, but it will now cycle subsonic ammunition designed for rifles that are not semi-automatic in nature. So I actually made a little bit of a gain improvement using the 10% lighter spring, as now it will shoot subsonics, and it still shoots all the other ammunition just fine. I think I had one failure to two. I had two failures to feed. It actually didn't pick up the next round, and I just had to oil the gun because I had just cleaned it and I apparently didn't oil it well enough, and it was just sticking a little bit. So a few drops of oil in some key locations, and then I had no cycling issues whatsoever. So those are the changes that I've made. It still has the factory stock trigger in it. I haven't made any trigger adjustments. I'm still using the factory magazines. I haven't made any magazine adjustments. I still am using the same suppressor that I was using before, and I'm still 100% happy with the firearm. And so there it is. At the end of the day, I still highly recommend this firearm to anybody who's looking to get into something of this type. Semi-automatic in nature, 22 long rifle rimfire. Something that's not going to break the bank as far as price, reliability, accuracy, shootability, weight, everything I've ever talked about with the TX22. I'm still 100% satisfied with this firearm, and it has just been an absolute joy and pleasure to own. I have got thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds of ammunition through this thing, and it just keeps shooting. It does its job. It dispatches skunks and woodchucks, squirrels without issue in my cabin yard and anywhere else that I might be where I have it with me, and I'm just 100% pleased with how it functions all the time. And then when you go ahead and you use it with a suppressor, it makes it all that much more fun to shoot, especially when you're shooting subsonic ammunition. It's really a pleasure to shoot. It's low noise for anybody who's got noise sensitivity issues. It's low recoil. It's extremely easy to handle. And I have no problem saying that you will absolutely enjoy every bit of owning this firearm. All that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Now, again, if you're liking this channel and you're liking this kind of content and you like what you see on the Jack of All Trades channel, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below. Make sure you ring that notification bell so you get notified of upcoming videos. I got some really fun projects coming up. You're not going to want to miss out on those. And please hit me with some comments. I try to answer as many of the comments as I possibly can. If you have questions, let me know. If I can't answer the questions, I'll try really hard to find out an answer for you. With that, this is Ed with Jack of All Trades. As always, I appreciate all my subscribers. I appreciate all my viewers, and we will see you on the next video.